Micky, you're a playwright, aren't you?
I've wrote plays, yes.
Yeah. Can you tell me about the first ever play you wrote?
The first ever play I wrote, um, it was about two people in a prison cell. I was in prison at the time, so it was about prison because I write about what you know really. And one of them, and there was two fellas in one cell, which I wasn't. I always had a single cell, and one of them's kind of really having a bit. He's fallen into a mental crisis. Really, he's worried about his wife and his children, and his cellmates trying to help him, but it wasn't happening. He has a kind of breakdown and ends up in the prison hospital. I was I liked education, and doing education in prison was a way of getting out of the prison workshops and cleaning the wings and all them jobs that are like kind of boring. So I started doing all education. And I was doing a GCSE English, and the teacher who used to mark the stories, used to say, you do a lot of dialogue in your stories. Why don't you write plays for the Kershaw Awards, which are awards just for prisoners? And so I did, and started winning. So that kind of motivates you to keep writing. And then I kind of kept doing it when I was out. I've never earned any money out of it. It's only like an hobby, it's an interest that I like. But it's good to kind of have a play on in a theatre and people clap and laugh in the right places, and yeah, so that kind of keeps you going.
That was going to be one of my questions. How does it feel when you see your plays performed?
Fucking fantastic. But then sometimes you see reviews and they go, oh no, that wasn't a good review. But they're the ones you remember. But then if it was a play where there's mixed reviews and so like some good ones, and this woman just wrote maybe one thing that you didn't like, really she said it was too long. Not that it was a bad play, but it's too long. But that's what you remember. I can't remember any phrases from the good reviews from the same play. I just remember that. So, yeah. If there's no money for a director, then I'll direct. But also handing it over to the director, you have to trust their judgment. Trust that they ain't going to ruin your play with bad direction. And most of the times it's good. There will be something you go, oh, I wouldn't have done it like that. That's sure happen. But you've handed it over, so you've got to trust them in the end. You can't go making yourself busy. Go, whoa, don't do that again tomorrow night. And most of the times there's dialogue between. For the first few rehearsals, you probably sit in and they want to take notes and ask questions. But then you've got to leave them to it. It's like giving away your baby. That's part of it. That's the theatre.
And how do you feel about actors having input, whether they like change a line or change something?
I fucking hate it. But you've got to have compromise, and I'll always listen. If they can explain why it's going to improve it, and I can see that, then it ain't a problem. So yeah, it's compromise, but if it's they want to add bits in, and they can show me that it works, I'm all for it. Really, if it can make it better, that's good.
Is your inspiration like a spark of inspiration, and you suddenly start writing, or is it more maybe ideas you've had mulling around in the back of your head for a while, and it's a longer process? And does it build up in little bits, or do you have a idea of like beginning, middle, end from the start?
No, I wish I did, and you should always have an end to write towards, but that can change, because you're writing and you go, oh no, this is a better way to go. But you should have a plan of the beginning, middle, and end to works rules. Otherwise, you're just writing and it ain't going anywhere. You have to kind of have a kind of map to stick to, even if it does divert. But no, I wish I did have lots of ideas. I did when I was in prison, because I didn't have a lot else to do. But now it's usually based on, is there a theme? You know, someone, I know runs a theatre, was having a festival of short plays recently, and there was a theme to it. So that's it. You've got to write to fit the theme. And then sometimes someone said, "Can you write us a play about this?" And yes, I can. But other than that, it's just, I could sit and stare at a blank bit of paper for days.
And are you working on anything at the moment?
Yes, but I haven't picked it up for a while. I was kind of writing like mad for kind of over a year ago. I was writing like mad, and I've kind of come to a dead end, and I haven't thought of a way to get round it. So I've not gone back to it, and I should do.
Have you got a favourite play out of all the plays you've written?
Yeah, it was one with open book actually. It was called Hammer Horror, and do you know him, Michael, who used to do the drama?
I know of him, I've never met him yet.
He directed it, and I said it was the theme of, you know, you get these people who make out they're from the gas board or something like that, and get in old ladies' house and nick all their purse in there. Well, it's about that, and the son was there who trapped him and tied him up. That's why it's called Hammer Horror.
And would there be which famous actors or actresses would you have in your ideal setup in your play?
Oh, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino. Who's my favourite English actors? It's something like that's just a dream. But I've had kind of semi-famous actors in my plays. Someone out of Grange Hill. Remember Grange Hill?
Yeah.
And I kind of, and you know, obviously she was growing up. I forget her name. She had a little kind of baby face. She was very good at comedy. And someone named Johnny Harris, who's quite a big star now. I mean, you'll know his face of the BBC dramas. And you watch This Is England.
Oh yeah, that was
Right, he was the Nancy dad.
Oh right, yeah.
That was him. But he's been in lots of stuff now. He's been in my plays, and when he was before he got famous, and now it's like I can't even get to speak to him. I have to go through his agent. Yeah.